absolute, utter chaos is unfolding in front of our very eyes. Baker Mayfield, T. Law, their values are in limbo as Liam Coen is causing all kinds of controversy right now. This is the wildest head coaching carousel potential story we've seen in quite some time. Liam Coen was supposed to head back to Tampa to sign an extension that would have made him the one of the highest paid offensive coordinators in the National Football League, because he didn't want to go and head coach the Jacksonville Jaguars with a GM in Bulky that nobody wants to work with. So the Jaguars fire Bulky and in a panic try and get Coen back in play. And Coen, who agreed to go to Tampa, to return to Tampa and sign an extension to become one of the highest paid coordinators in the game, went missing. And he was supposed to sign his extension and go over some details. He never showed up. Word is all over the place. Some say he ghosted the Bucs, didn't return calls. They tried to get a hold of him. Others say he did eventually talk to Bulls at 5 p.m. Eastern time. And it's all over the map, and the reports are everywhere. I've got them all over the screen. They're all contradictory. Nothing is 100% certain. We're going to break it all down, but this has crazy impact to Baker if Coen stays, because Baker was transformed under Liam Coen. And a lot of us want T. Law to be resurrected like Liam Coen resurrected Baker Mayfield. And Coen wants to be a head coach, but did not want to be a head coach under Bulky. Bulky was fired so the Jaguars could bring Coen back, and that's what appears to be going down. And word is, according to Adam Schefter, and I don't know how accurate this is, but there's a strong likelihood that Coen now is going to be the head coach of the Jaguars, and he is currently, according to Schefter, at the facility right now. He's at the Jacksonville Jaguar facility, not the Tampa Bay Buck facility, potentially ironing out a head coaching contract with the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is wild. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
I mean, this just gets crazier and crazier and crazier. So the thinking is, and again, no one has a clue as to the exact order of everything, the accuracy of everything, and there's a lot going on here. Okay, first of all, there's this report. I'll just read this. Liam Coen informed the Bucs head coach Todd Bowles today at 5 p.m. that he was at a doctor's office with a sick child. And this is kind of going backwards in a way. That's fine. Because he said the reason he was MIA was he had a sick child. But then Adam Schefter reported that he's actually in the Jacksonville Jaguar facility right now. Who knows what's really true? Again, this is all crazy reports. This one here from my sports update is the Bucs expected Liam Coen to return today to sign a new deal, but he didn't show up and they couldn't get in touch with him at all. Meanwhile, the Jaguars ramped up their efforts, bombarding Coen and re-engaging to the point where he's now at their facility instead of the doctor's office with his kid. I thought his kid was sick and that's why he couldn't get a hold of him. But this report also is suggesting that he is at the facility right now, potentially ironing out a deal, which he didn't want to do because of Bulky being the GM, and no one wants to work with Bulky. So they got rid of Bulky because Coen said get rid of him. Essentially, what you could take away from this is that he said get rid of him and I would take the job. They maybe didn't do it. They ended up doing it, and then this thing's getting pulled back. Meanwhile, there's this report. Robert Salah landed in Jacksonville and was supposed to be interviewed tomorrow for the head coaching job. This poor guy booked a flight, flew into Jacksonville, and was supposed to interview for the job. But then Diana Rossini reports right here, let's see, this one here. Robert Salah never left New Jersey for Jacksonville. He was planning on flying into Jacksonville for an interview, but he never got on the plane because plans are fluid and everything's still going on. So there's reports all over the place. No one has the full story. There's partial truths everywhere. Everybody's trying to break this thing right now as we speak. This changed the whole dynamic of the show today. I wasn't going to talk about any of this, but here we are because this has been controversial and nobody has the correct information. So it's all over the place. Diana Rossini then reported this 50 seconds ago as of when I clipped it, which was about 4 minutes ago. So what changed for Liam Coen? He got on the plane to Jacksonville after the Jags ownership called him directly and explained that he will let him pick the general manager and would pay him Ben Johnson level money along with multiple years per sources. Now, let me tell you something. As much as I can predict that tomorrow the sun will rise, there is most likely no going back to Tampa at this point. And I'm not saying he lied about his son. His son could have been sick, and then he went to Jacksonville, and he could just say, look, my son was sick. I was at the doctor's, and then I got on a plane, and I decided to go attack this. But as much as I can predict the sun will rise tomorrow, I can pretty much predict that Liam Coen will be the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, because there's really no going back. This is like stepping out on your significant other, announcing it, heading over to the new mistress's house, and then deciding you want to dial it back. There's no return here. And so, look, let me just explain two things. From a fantasy perspective, from an NFL perspective, we already have the resurrection of Baker Mayfield. We've got Bucky Irving on the rise. Bucky's an absolute phenom.
Get Buckied.
Okay, so that's great news. This Dynasty video is up, by the way. Go watch it on the Dynasty channel after you watch this show. We already have a good resurrection going. Now, the removal of Liam Coen in Tampa as the OC is bad. Bowles is still there. The culture is still there. But it doesn't make me feel great and warm and fuzzy for Baker Mayfield continuing everything he's been doing. The final year maybe of Mike Evans playing great football, and he might be sporadic and be injured. The rise of McMillan. But we have enough of a foundation that Liam Coen can leave, and I think we still have a great situation overall. I almost would prefer Liam Coen to leave, help resurrect Trevor Lawrence, help put BT on a whole nother level. Brian Thomas Jr. on a whole other level. Where's my BT video when I need it? I got it here somewhere. Where's my damn BT video? I have it here. I don't know where I put it. I moved it. BT, where are you, my guy? Here it is. Here it is.
He's BTJ. What you gonna do? He's BTJ. He's gonna put it on you.
Hide your mamas.
He's BTJ. Gonna have a good game. He's BTJ. Your mama screams his name. BTJ is going to put it on you. There's not a single thing that you can do. BTJ is going to put it on you. There's not a single thing that you can do.
The Saturn Men.
One small step for man.
Where's
He's
BTJ?
on a shuttle to Mars.
There he is.
Mars Man.
The Moon Man.
Oops,
He's on a shuttle to Mars.
There he is.
Mars Man.
BTJ is a Mars man extraordinaire.
Loads dropping and spinning aimlessly in space.
That's not new. That's not new. But Liam Coen has already done good work in Tampa. I'm not saying it's great. I'm not saying losing him will be good for Baker. I'm not saying losing him will be good for McMillan. I'm not even saying losing him will be good for Bucky. I don't know what it means, but I know that there's enough foundation there that we're probably okay. And so if Liam Coen can leave and resurrect Trevor Lawrence, put BTJ on Jupiter, not Mars, send him to Jupiter, and potentially, who knows what in the hell they do with this number, what is it, 7 overall draft selection? What is it the Jaguars have? It's the 5. The 5. Maybe they trade down a little or get bold and crazy and take Ashton Genty, and Liam Coen turns Genty into an absolute monster. Maybe he revives ETN. Who knows? But I'm excited about what Liam Coen can do. I like Coen. Coen's great. I mean, it's the only thing is, again, we don't know, will he be a great head coach versus offensive coordinator. The assumption that Ben Johnson can just, walk straight into Chicago and become a great head coach, it's a big assumption. There's a lot of failure points and pieces of that situation that could bring Ben Johnson down. I heard that Trump, one of his orders that he pushed through was that we pardon Ben Johnson in advance for failings in Chicago. So if Ben Johnson fails in Chicago, he's already been pardoned. We got to forgive him, and we got to understand that Ben Johnson's still a good offensive coordinator mind, but Chicago could ruin him. And we don't even know if Ben Johnson will be a good head coach because it doesn't always translate. So Liam Coen, maybe not, works out in this situation. But I do know that if I had to press a button and send him to Jacksonville or keep him in Tampa, I think I send him to Jacksonville just to maybe reignite Trevor Lawrence, the law dog, to maybe put BTJ on a whole new, shuttle heading to Jupiter, and to maybe turn the running game in Jacksonville to something very, very productive. So this is quite crazy, this turn of events, and I'm even refreshing and looking for new information. The one thing that's crazy, I think more than anything, is this Robert Salah situation. Robert Salah supposedly was on his way. This is Pete Carroll. This is another thing we talked about yesterday. DC option potentially for the Niners. Also, Jerry Jones reached out to him. We don't really know. But this is crazy. Robert Saleh, here's the news that I was going to reference just now, that he was supposed to be landed already in Jacksonville for an interview tomorrow. Then Diana Rossini said that he never got on the plane, which is this report right here, and that he never left New Jersey for Jacksonville. And poor Salah has, that's like getting invited to a dinner and then, half the people didn't invite you and you were never supposed to go. They tried to cancel your dinner reservation and you still show up to dinner and have to sit down at the table. So what a wild turn of events. If Liam Coen leaves, there's still a lot of opportunities for Tampa to fill that offensive coordinator spot in a way that we still are pretty excited about it. I don't know. I don't know how you guys feel about Ryan Grubb. I still like Ryan Grubb. I still love the way Charbonnet looked under Ryan Grubb's situation and offensive approach. I love the way JSN came to life under Ryan Grubb. So, and I don't know what Ryan Grubb's plans are. I'm not saying he's an option, but there's still opportunity for Tampa to fill this offensive coordinator spot in a way that we're pleased, and we feel the continuation of Bucky Irving's progress and development is unaffected, that McMillan still becomes a monster, that Baker can still retain his value and productivity. But I'm very excited about what Liam Coen could do for Trevor Lawrence and especially for our boy BTJ. Hide your mamas. Here it comes one more time. Hide your mamas.
He's BTJ. What you gonna do? He's BTJ. He's gonna put it on you. He's BTJ. Gonna have a good game. He's BTJ. Your mama screams his name. BTJ is...
Okay, again, go watch this Dynasty video. It's on the Dynasty channel later. Not now. We're busy now. Don't leave now. But Baker Mayfield, we talked about the ramifications fantasy. I don't know what else to even discuss at this point because we're still waiting on a whole bunch of clarification. I'll keep refreshing X right now. We've got this breaking news. 49ers are expected to hire Robert Saleh as their defensive coordinator. That's another thing that potentially derives from this situation, but that is a very presumptuous report, and a couple people are reporting that. I know a lot of Niner fans are wanting that, but I think it's kind of tough to connect those dots right away and say, oh, Salah is going to interview for a head coaching job, and this unravels 7 minutes later, and all of a sudden the Niners are expected to hire Robert Saleh. I don't think it works like that. You don't just 7 minutes later go from a head coaching potential hire to you're already inked up with the Niners. But you never know. This is how crazy this situation is. Would it surprise me? No, but I think Niner fans are projecting a little bit and trying to will this thing to happen, and they want Salah back so bad. We'll see. Is Salah going to explore a few other coaching opportunities? Maybe he has none. Maybe he doesn't want to be left high and dry without a job, so maybe he did say to the Niners. This could be where the report's coming from. I don't fully know. No one fully knows. But the report could be coming from an inside source that said that Salah said, hey, I'm coming over to San Francisco if this interview doesn't work out, and the Niners are like, how can we botch this and get Salah back? Who knows? It potentially could happen. But everybody assuming Salah's now in San Francisco is wild. Like already, it was 7 minutes ago that he was supposed to potential. This is all unfolding. Now, granted, it's crazy. It's crazy. Okay, so Liam Coen, not likely staying in Tampa. It's not official. Not likely staying in Tampa, but you know, here we are. And this Diana Rossini, like I said, what has changed for Liam Coen? He got on a plane to go to Jacksonville. Ownership called him directly and said, we'll, you know, get rid of Bulky. You hire whatever GM you want. Part of me wonders, do you think Liam Cohen's going to say, and this is what I would say, I'd sit down in my chair and I'd go, you guys don't need a GM. I'll be GM. I'll be GM and head coach. I mean, what coach doesn't want to do that? I guess you'd want somebody to push papers and handle some of the details, but like maybe he handles more than we know. He gets to handpick a GM that he could literally do that with, right? Essentially, within so many words, he could be the decision maker, and he could say, I'll hire you as GM, like we believe John Lynch was hired to be a puppet for Shanahan initially. Now, John Lynch has since turned into a pretty good GM that I think is taking control of his own job. But at first, the guy that hired John Lynch in San Francisco was Kyle Shanahan. Do you think Shanahan sat him down and said, manhandle me? Just absolutely overrule me. You make all the calls. You overturn anything you want. I'll hire you as GM, John Lynch, if you just absolutely don't give me whatever I want. We all know how that went. And it was a painful first couple years where John Lynch sat there and didn't do anything. He was twiddling his thumbs for a few years. John Lynch, I admit, has since become a pretty decent GM. But that's the way it was at first. So if you think Liam Coen, who gets full carte blanche to do whatever the hell he wants at the GM position, you think he's going to hire somebody that isn't going to say, okay, you hire me and I'll let you do whatever you want? That's what's going to happen. So it is, in a way, him becoming GM. This is going to be interesting. This is going to become really interesting. The phone lines are open. Dial in if you have any conversation. Let's specifically talk about this situation before you get into your selfish, question, which I'm gladly happy to answer. You know I'm there for you. But this is a Bucks, Jaguars, Liam Coen, Todd Bowles, NFL draft pick selection for the Jags or the Bucks, Mike Evans, McMillan, BTJ conversation. That is what we're going to discuss first and foremost. So make sure you have your question ready along those lines. Phone lines are open.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
And don't forget to watch this Dynasty video after this show tonight. It's on the Dynasty channel. It coincides with the main channel video we did yesterday on Derrick Henry. So that will be up and ready for you. It's already up on the Dynasty channel, which is youtube.com/Dynasty Fantasy Football. Travis, you are live, young man. What can I do for you?
Hey, what's up?
What's up?
So it really seems like Liam Coen kind of called Shad Khan's bluff, and maybe Shad Khan didn't think someone would do that to him or isn't used to having that done to him in his position. Because, Liam Coen said, I'm walking away if you don't fire Bowden. Maybe he thought he would give in, or when he really walked away, maybe he thought, okay, he's gone or whatever. I don't want to lose him now, so we'll fire Bowden. Because otherwise, you would think all this wouldn't happen. And then in terms of, a sick kid at the doctor, who knows? Wait to see what happened there. Could it be true? It could be like you said, or maybe he just made a mistake and did something crappy and made a crappy excuse up, which, isn't good of him. But
yeah, I don't think there has to be some.
At the end of the day.
There has to be some truth to it, but like I bet he used it. That because that would come out like even at the doctor with his kid.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's some, but it's weird to say you couldn't get a hold of me because I was at the doctor with my kid all day, and now all of a sudden he's in Jacksonville at the facility, and so Tampa is going to be like, okay, you're at the doctor, but why did you get on a plane without talking to us? Go to Jacksonville, and like I said, this is a point of no return. This is like stepping out. This is like a dude stepping on his significant other or his wife, letting his wife know. This is more of his wife, not his significant other. The Tampa Bay Bucks are his wife. He steps out on his wife and then calls her and says, "I'm in Jacksonville, baby. It's over." Like you can't go back from there. This is crazy to me. It's wild. It's intriguing because of, like I said, the seeds have been planted in Tampa. No pun intended in this scenario. And so he's planted the seeds in Tampa. I think Baker will continue to play good. I think Jacksonville needs Liam Coen more than I think Tampa does. They both need him, but I think that there's with Todd Bowles, the culture, as we talked about yesterday, that head coaching, the culture setter is still there. But, we've seen the culture setter, Sirianni, fall apart and hire the wrong people, and the offense take a step backward in Philly the year prior to this year. They've since cleaned it up in Philly. They're still struggling quite a bit in terms of getting the most out of their passing attack, but at the same time, it's still working very well. So the question will be, will Todd Bowles and company fill these seats, the offensive coordinator position, promptly, effectively? Will there be any setbacks? Will it be somebody like Arthur Smith or something where we're like, holy shit, like this is bad? It could be. But right now I'm going to assume the positive stuff is going to happen for the Bucks, and I'm more focused on what's the fantasy impact of Liam Coen in Jacksonville for T-Law's resurrection. Will we see a Baker Mayfield 2.0 resurrection with T-Law? I think we could. Will we see BTJ get, vaulted to the Andromeda Galaxy, not even to Jupiter, because of look what happened to Mike Evans and McMillan and what would have happened with Godwin? It's just a great offense, great system, great offensive mind. Again, not proven as a head coach. Everything could collapse and crumble. There's no guarantees here, but it's definitely interesting, man. There's so much going on here. This is a crazy drama.
And I think the thing, unless this, kid at the doctor thing really blows up into something ugly, which I don't think it will, but Liam Coen kind of played this perfectly because it seems like he called Shad Khan's bluff on the ball control and knew he had this deal sitting with Tampa, or knew he could get this deal. So one way or another, he was going to end up back where he was with tons of success and opportunities in the future, highest paid OC or close to it. Or he was going to be able to almost run the Jags, because like you said, he's going to bring in someone as GM that does what he wants. So he plays this really well, whether you like him or hate him.
Yeah, and anybody that's going to say something like really negative to Coen, like this goes to his character. Keep in mind that Kingsbury did the same thing last offseason. He was going, I forget the whole details of this, but until you're under contract, you're still, it's kind of like saying, like somebody goes, hey, I'll trade you this, this, and this, and you're negotiating, and you haven't agreed or accepted anything, and somebody comes along and says, I'll give you this and it's better. Like, what are you supposed to do? Well, I gave my word. You didn't really give your word until you sign the contract, and it's business. It is what it is. And, does it feel a little bit shady? Yeah, I'm not going to lie. It's kind of like you do feel, I'm sure he feels bad about himself. Like, you can't feel great about yourself when you walk away from something you agreed to, verbally. But again, until you sign it, they could have, like, you could blame this on the Tampa Bay Bucks and say, like, what about the earlier stages of the negotiation where you were trying to nickel and dime maybe Liam into something else and you could have locked it down and you didn't. So the blame's got to also go on the other party that kind of tried to squeeze the most out of it as well. You know what I mean? Like, you run that risk of losing the entire fantasy football trade if you continue to try and squeeze a little more out of it, I mean, you're running the risk of leaving this thing on the table longer. So I don't really judge him.
People say all the time, talking about players have to do what they can and get what they can because the owners don't care about it. Well, as a coach, you kind of got to look at it the same way. They get paid less as the players do, you know. They have to, you know, they're all getting paid millions of dollars. I get that. But, you know, you got to do what's right for you at the end of the day, you know, as long as you can live with what you're doing on the business side.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about it. Wild Bill with a $20 hauler. My boy Wild Bill, let me smash this for you.
Alert. Super chat alert.
Wild Bill, appreciate you. My guy, Wild Bill says, Smitty, I'm sorry for not participating recently, but my debit card was, I'm sorry, bro. Bank had to cancel, took 10 days. I'm sorry, I'm glad you're back. Patreon got canceled as well, trying to get that reestablished. Sorry, you don't have to apologize, Wild Bill. You're one of the OGs here. There's no apology necessary. Appreciate you dropping a freaking super chat wad like you just did. I can't even, I don't expect that. Never expected, always mother freaking damn appreciate it. Wild Bill to, let's send you to Jupiter for good measure, my guy.
To Jupiter.
I appreciate you. Okay, this one here from Jonathan. He says, hey, Smitty, Dynasty Superflex got offered May in London for CJ and Ayuk. I already have Mahomes. Let me make this really easy for you. I like May in Dynasty as much as I like CJ Stroud. I'm sure Travis just got a little tickle in his pants on that one. He probably didn't know what I was going to say on that. But yeah, I mean, May and CJ Stroud, very, very comparable, you could say. One is kind of, you know, needing to climb back up into our trust, and we're doubting him. We don't know what to expect. That's CJ Stroud, obviously. The other one's just getting going and is one of the best running quarterbacks in the National Football League. So I'm going to take that quarterback option. And London over Ayuk is like that's even a more extreme. That's yeah. This trade is, even if you like Stroud a little bit more than Drake May, the London over injured Ayuk, who I don't even know will ever be the same because he's a head case anyway. Like, that's the easiest question I've been asked all month long. What would you? This one's from BBQ. Appreciate you, my boy. What would the Jaguars look like fantasy-wise under Liam besides BTJ? Do you think it makes the... Yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying earlier, BBQ. I think maybe they go potentially with this number 5 overall pick and grab Genty. Maybe they just turn Bigsby and ETN into their, you know, the Rashad White and Bucky Irving show. It's certainly possible. But that would make you wonder if Bigsby's going to get a lot of work. Or maybe it's like Liam's going to use the talent that he has. He likes ETN more. He's going to use ETN more. But I kind of feel like when you're somebody like Liam coming in, and if he does, in fact, if it's official, you know, once it becomes official, you kind of want to bring in your own talent. I'm not saying you don't sit here and go, okay, one of the reasons I took this job is I really like ETN's skill set. He very well might. And I think, you know, Bigsby's got some upside too. And there's a chance that there's other holes on this roster that he feels is more important, and he could look to the running back position through free agency or just revitalizing the running attack that they have. Tough to know what it's going to fully look like, but I think that the odds are that the rushing attack and the entire offense will be better under Liam Coen. But we still don't know if Coen can you know, be a good head coach. Like, there's no guarantee. I just think, you know, you're going to bet on Ben Johnson being a good head coach, and you're going to bet on Liam Coen being a good head coach. But the odds of both of them being an elite head coach, probably not that great, to be honest with you. One of them might fail. But I do love the idea. And even if he fails to win games, I think he still has a productive offense, though. We probably got 2 years of the Jaguars, if Liam Coen does land in Jacksonville, 2 years of the Jacksonville Jaguar offense playing a lot better from a fantasy football and production standpoint, regardless of the wins. I can't guarantee he'll be a good head coach and win games, though. That's something we don't know. Go ahead, Travis. What else did you have?
Just touching on the Drake May thing. They've been talking about Josh McDaniels. I guess he spent a lot of the offseason with, like, I don't know where. I haven't looked into that, but looking into college programs, trying to adjust his playbook and his style of coaching, which shows you he's willing to change as the game changes, which is a good sign to me because you see with a lot of coaches and coordinators, they aren't very flexible. And the game passes guys by. Like I used to say the game passed Belichick by. I think it might have a little bit. So that is a little extra hope for me as well.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they have to get him weapons. So that's the bottom line.
Well, I like McDaniels. I like Vrabel. I think it's I think Drake May's got a lot of upside. But yes, he needs to have a wide receiver. I do not believe that they have the right wide receiver room. I know some people get really excited about certain prospects. Like we got a lot of people talking about Dami Brown and, he's the new number 2 in Washington. What do you think about Brown for 2025? I think Brown is solid. I think he could be, I don't even know what his contract is off the top of my head, but he could be a good wide receiver 3 for the team, not even fantasy. But they're going to bring somebody else in. Like, I know everyone wants to find that diamond in the rough and they want it to be Brown because he's available. They're like, I picked him up, so is he going to be good? There's going to be the Patriots will have different receivers, or at least one big receiver addition, and so will the Washington Commanders.
Those De'Ami Brown types, I always kind of compare them to, like, because I'm a Patriots fan, obviously, like almost like, remember Chris Hogan when he went to the Patriots? I think he had like 600 or 700 yards. And there's a million guys like that who, like you said, are very good for the football team, and they have big games, and they look really good sometimes, and you get your hopes up about them, but they're never going to take that step into the true number 1 or number 2 receiver. They play a good role on the team, but for fantasy purposes, it's hard to think that they're going to be more than that.
Ziggy says, Smitty, I severe back pain recently. I went to the chiropractor. I don't go to the chiropractor. I'm sure the chiropractor can be good. Ziggy, volume 10. I'm sure the chiropractor could be good for some things, but I'm just not a big chiropractic kind of person. I'd rather strengthen my back. I'd rather do physical therapy or something like that, strengthen my back and go that route. I don't want to start popping or realigning my body. I'm just not a big believer in popping something and then not expecting to need to do it more and more and more and more. It's just like popping your knuckles. I know everyone's going to say different things about it, but that's just my take. I'm not a big chiropractor guy.
Well, that's the bottom line. You have to go back.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure it works for people, but you have to.
Yeah, there's probably like an alignment situation where you need to get the disc in or whatever, but that's not the case here. But yeah, my back, I got a brace on my back right now. I got it from Amazon. I paid the extra $2.99 to get that delivery by 4 to 10 a.m. or whatever, and it came, and as soon as I wrapped my back in this brace, and it's got these like extra like things that you pull and you can tighten it more, I can actually get up and walk around. But you may not be able to tell, but I'm in extreme pain, and when I walk, I shuffle. It takes me like, I don't know, 5 minutes to get to the bathroom and back. It's crazy. Hopefully tomorrow I have like a big progress, because this is the second day. And I'm just sitting there in bed. I can't sleep. I can't do anything. It's absolutely awful. It's my lower back, the entire lower back. I felt like the best way to describe it is like the bottom row of bricks on a brick house. If you just like compromise the entire bottom row, and the entire weight of the house is on top of that bottom row of bricks, that's how my back feels. It's crazy. Anyway, Bucky Irving, from a fantasy perspective, without Liam Coen, I'm not extremely worried. You can't lie and say you want change. Who wants things to change? Who wants to have an unknown situation, reveal itself in Tampa, after Bucky started? I can't sit here with a straight face and say, oh, this is great for, everybody in Tampa, but it might not be bad. It might not be great. It might not be bad. We don't know. The truth is, we just don't know. We don't know yet. Not until we have a good handle on who's replacing Liam Coen and how that's going to look, I do know that Todd Bowles has a lot to do with decision making, though, of who goes in the game, who is going to be this. Because when they talk to Todd Bowles and say, "Hey, what do you think of using Bucky Irving more?" When he started to use Bucky more and more, he would make comments that would come to fruition. He would say things like, "Hey, yeah, we're going to start using him more." That's coming from his mouth, not Liam Coen. And then you see it happen. It's pliable on the field. And Travis, I think we talked about this one time, that what Todd Bowles says usually comes true. He's one of those coaches that when he says something, pretty much you can bank on it. He's not BSing you like Sean Payton. Sean Payton's the worst. He's the absolute worst. Sean Payton tells you it's going to rain tomorrow. It's going to be sunny. And it's not because he's wrong. He's deceiving you. Sean Payton is not going to tell you the truth. And he even said that in a press conference once, when talking about Javonte Williams going on the PUP back when he tore his ACL. He goes, he might not go on the PUP. He might go on the PUP. He might start on the PUP. I don't know. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't tell you either way. He's like, I'm not going to be honest about something like that to the media. So we can't trust a guy like that. But Bowles will shoot you straight. And if Todd Bowles says Bucky's getting more work next week, and then he does, then he is commanding a lot of that. So I don't know how the passing attack will stay afloat as well. Afloat's a bad word, because that's like saying it's bad. I don't know if things will be as good overall for the passing attack. I can't guarantee that. But what I do know is probably Bucky doesn't start seeing less work or something. I think Todd Bowles is the reason he got more work. But will the offense move the balls effectively? I just, again, like I said, I'm okay with the seeds being planted and the resurrection already happening for Baker. I'd really like to see Liam Coen resurrect Trevor Lawrence and put BT on Jupiter. And I think it's going to happen.
To Jupiter.
Dial into the phone lines, guys.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Sean Payton, don't trust him with anything. I'm not saying he's a bad coach. I'm not saying he won't turn things around, but he's very hard to trust from a coach speak perspective. Who else benefits in Jacksonville? It's tough to say.
Obviously,
Ingram.
T-Law is the biggest one. That's really intriguing because, that T-Law himself could bring about the players if he's playing at high level.
Trickle effect. And let's not forget how good Otten was, for a string. Maybe Ingram goes to the moon. Maybe this is what we were afraid could end up being a bad thing, and it's not being a bad thing. When Ingram was in the game, there's a lot of talk about BT not being as productive when Ingram's fully healthy and all that. So if Liam Coen can potentially improve everything and make Trevor Lawrence better and increase the number of passes going around, then we might not have that effect if anybody was worried about it. But
yeah, I guess it's like you said, the running backs, T-Law, Ingram. I think those are the biggest ones because, Gabe Davis is what he is, right? For the most part.
Yeah, they'll bring somebody.
Christian Kerr, Evan, Parker Washington, Brendan Strange. These guys aren't truly standout guys.
Yeah. Frog Feet.
They might draft the receiver.
Yeah, I'm just going to say that one second. Let me get back to that 1 second. Let me address this real quick. Frog Feet says, $199 for a lifetime package on my on my thefantasyfootballshow.com. Yeah, never pay for content again. The rankings, it's one time, or you can just, buy the yearly package. But let me read this from Frog Feet. Frog Feet, thank you for the kind words. Almost impossible not to want to buy. I joined you this season, and by the middle of the season, I stopped watching all other channels. Appreciate all you do for us. Frog Feet, that's awesome, bro. I appreciate you.
Awesome, yeah.
Appreciate you dropping that little number there. thefantasyfootballshow.com. Links in the description. That puppy. I'm excited about the format this year. I built my content first. I did that and really radio for 19 straight years before I ever got into YouTube or whatever. And when I did that, it was dynasty based because I got into the business in 2003, 2002 because there was no trade calculator in the industry. So your boy said, enough of this. I'll do it myself. And I created what I believed to be, you never know who was working on some site that was up that no one knew about, but there was no trade calculator in the mainstream fantasy football media or community. So I created the trade calculator. It can handle 5-for-1 trades, 3-for-1 trades, 5-for-5 trades, 10-for-10 if you want. It's based on auction dollars, so you can't trick it. You merely just have to understand what you're asking it. If you ask it to trade 10 players for one, the auction dollar amount of that arsenal will eventually outweigh one player. But you got to, so if you understand what you're asking it and you're fair to it, you can't really trick it. Trade calculator, all that stuff. But what I did do is I built this off of dynasty content because there was no dynasty content in the industry back in 2002, 2003, barely any. And over the course of last year, I just wrote mostly redraft stuff, and I was very disappointed in myself. So I want to remedy that this year, and so I revamped the entire website. The green is dynasty, the blue is redraft. The site's divided up in a way, color coordinated, so that it also puts pressure on me to know that I haven't created any dynasty content in the last day or two. I better write up some, so it keeps me on my toes. But now the website's back to the grassroots of what I created it, why I created it back in 2002, 2003. So dynasty, redraft, get your fix on. Appreciate you for dropping that, Frog Feet. Okay, go ahead. Go back to what you're saying, Travis. I'm sorry. You were saying wide receiver.
Just real quick, BBQ left a nice comment too. I don't know if you saw it. Just to let you know.
It says same as Frog, joined middle of the season when I was feeling FFL. This show was a revelation. Nicely done, brother. Thank you. Appreciate you, BBQ. So rookie or draft. Yeah. So Jacksonville's most certainly. Yeah. And they could take Ted McMillan with the 5 pick. I mean, they're not restricted to anything. Where's that? Let me see that draft order. Where's that damn draft order at? I've got it here somewhere. It's buried. But yeah, they could take Ted McMillan. They could take, I doubt Travis Hunter is there, but Travis Hunter probably he might go 1 at this point to Tennessee. At least that's the posturing rumor that could be based purely in trying to trade the pick. But yeah, number 5 could be Genty, could be Ted McMillan, could be offensive line, could be a number of different things. So keep that in mind. Could be T. Higgins, could be Chris Godwin, could be think about Godwin, the ties to Liam Coen.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, I just thought of that. Maybe Godwin's now a Jacksonville Jaguar. He's one of the top free agent wide receivers, Chris Godwin. Announcement, breaking news.
From the Fantasy Football Show.
From the Fantasy Football News desk, I can tell you that I am a good authority from Trust Me Bro. Trust Me Bro told me that Chris Godwin might be headed to Jacksonville. We have Farb on the... he hung up. Farb, call back. I don't know why you keep hanging up, or if that's my line that's causing the problem. I don't know. Thank you, Frog. Appreciate you again. Yeah, I mean, Godwin. That sounds right. Godwin to... But they could draft... Like what would you rather do? Draft a late wide receiver... No. Draft Ted McMillan in a late... And when I say late, I just mean like another round... like offensive lineman or something, or would you rather draft top offensive lineman, Banks or whoever, and then you bring in Godwin? I don't know. It's tough. Ted McMillan would be very intriguing.
Ted McMillan would be nice. The more time goes on, I kind of want the Patriots to take him. Just take him and be done. But
I'd rather have, for BT, I'd rather have Godwin. I'm not saying Godwin's trash.
That's what I was going to say. Is that I think for BT, and I think maybe for T-Law, because if he's learning that Coen system, get a receiver in there who mastered that Coen system.
I agree. And I don't
And
think
give him a top lineman.
And I don't think Godwin's going to be so good, even though I like him. He's coming off injury. He's been a number 2. He's kind of like T. Higgins in a way. I don't think he's taken BT's job. Whereas I think you bring in Ted McMillan, and that's a little bit of a, I'm not saying BT's not better, but that's a big-time prospect, and you wonder what that does to BT's value. So I agree. Give me Banks, and then give me Godwin, I suppose. If I'm talking from a Trevor Lawrence fantasy perspective, I want Ted McMillan, I guess. But if I'm talking from a BT or just overall football perspective, I guess I want Godwin. And like you said, and like we just mentioned a second ago, the familiarity with the system will be good for T-Law. Farb, you're live.
What up, man? What do you think is going to happen in Dallas? How do you think that coaching situation is going to shake out?
Whoever can say yes, ma'am, the best to Jerry Jones. Whoever is the best, yes, sir. Yes, sir. May I have another? Whoever can do the best version of that will get the job. I don't know. Part of me, I'm not worried about Lamb. I'm not worried about Dak bouncing back. I'm not worried about the rushing attack because I think they will draft Genty if he's there at 12, or they'll bring somebody in. I don't think they're going to try it. I don't know. Dowdle wasn't bad. Like, worst case scenario, Dowdle's there, and he played pretty well at the end of the year. I give him credit. I used to always say I doubt he'll do anything, but part of that is because I doubt Jerry. But I do think that whatever happens, Lamb will be okay. But what do I want to happen? Kellen Moore is probably what I want to happen. That's probably the most likely scenario to, I think, have everything flourish to the extreme degree that it could. I think you bring in Schottenheimer, you bring in somebody like Pete Carroll. Oh God, no Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll would just amputate the potential of the offense, in my opinion. I'm not saying he's not like a decent mind of the game, couldn't be good as a DC somewhere or something like that, but like Pete Carroll, I think would potentially just ruin and destroy the max potential. But Schottenheimer, I don't know, to be honest with you, how I feel yet about that. I just think that Jerry wants a puppet. I think Deion Sanders will be super exciting to me. Super exciting, but it doesn't seem like that's got any legs right now. So what do I think is going to happen? Probably not what I want to happen. What I want to happen, Kellen Moore or Deion Sanders. And people might rip on the Deion Sanders take, but that's fine. I just think he could bring some excitement to the situation. And we know that the guy, can excite a team, rally the troops. He's got a lot of upside. And I think to judge him now as if he's like at the end of his journey and not able or capable of getting better as a coach is kind of a wild take. And I just love his press conferences. I love everything about it. He sells tickets. I think Jerry wants a yes man though. Jumpin' John says there's an exercise for lower back. Okay. I'll take a look at it. Thanks, pal. Yeah, I've got some things in line. I just need to, thank you. I appreciate you. I just need to stick to it. I need to strengthen the core. I dropped a lot of weight, and then that, without strengthening my core or my back, it put myself in like a weird position. Whenever I lose weight, I get back pain. Go ahead, Farb. Anything else?
Nah, yeah, that's it. But the problem with Deion is he's gonna be in the press conferences. It's not gonna be Jerry's world. So that's why that's not gonna happen. It would be a great money grab, and it'd be good for the team, I think. But he's not gonna. That's not the move he's gonna make.
I know Jerry's such an egotistical. Like I wouldn't be surprised if. Can you imagine Jerry going to the podium and saying, "I got an announcement to make. I will be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys this year." Like Jerry's just absolutely wild. Or my son will be the head. My son, my I don't forget how many kids he has. Like my 3 kids are gonna all 3 coach the team. All right.
It's like in that Adam Sandler movie, Little Nicky, when his dad, the devil's gonna resign, and then he says, "I'm staying another 100 years or whatever."
Yeah.
They're all like, "Ah, shit."
Yeah.
We're stuck with him again.
All right, bro.
All right, man.
Call back if you got another one.
Peace, man.
And as for what's going to happen, thank you, Brandon, for signing up on the fantasyfootballshow.com. What did Brandon do? Brandon got the lifetime membership. Lifetime membership to Brandon. Brandon signed up for the $199 lifetime membership. Brandon will never pay for content again.
To Jupiter.
Brandon, appreciate you. Brandon, speak up if you're in the chat. Is that going to be... Oh, that's Frog. That's Frog Feet. Frog Feet. Thank you, pal. Just bought the $199. That's Brandon. I didn't know that was your first name. Brandon, thank you. Frog Feet to the moon.
To Jupiter.
All right, dial in. Anybody have any more questions or comments or predictions from all this? I would love to know what you guys think, what your fear is, are you excited about Trevor Lawrence again? Could Trevor Lawrence be a great super flex quarterback, like your second quarterback? I'm not sitting here going, oh God, I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm just going to draft T. Law as my, starting quarterback. I mean, could he be a great backup? Could he be a fantastic super flex QB2? I think all those things are in the cards. I think what I'm more excited about is the revitalizing of the running attack based on Coen being in Jacksonville, if it becomes official, and what it does for BT and whoever else is the wide receiver 2 over in Jacksonville, and maybe Ingram. So go ahead, Cody. You're live from Fresno.
What's up, Smitty?
What's up?
Welcome to Tampa Bay, Jacksonville. I mean, the offensive system could work, but I mean, he'd have to bring the whole Buccaneers line with him. I don't know what the line was like, but I remember Trevor Lawrence getting beat up last year. So the Bucs have an amazing line. I believe it starts with the offensive line. So no matter his philosophy, until that improves and they get some better offensive linemen in there,
I mean,
I don't know if they'll see the same success.
That's an obvious Oscar comment, though. Of course, they need to improve everything, but they got the number 5 overall pick.
Help the line too, though.
Yeah,
New offense, a good offense will help.
And that number 5 overall pick, bro, they could draft Banks there, or whoever you believe to be the best offensive lineman in the draft, and that changes everything, bro. Like right away. So I mean, I see what you're saying, but like he wouldn't take the job if the offensive line wasn't in his mind fixable. And again,
is he going to call the plays?
I mean,
do you know that yet?
I imagine, but we don't know. We don't know.
Yeah.
I imagine. I don't know why you wouldn't. So that's going to make his offensive,
If not, he's building the offense anyway. So whoever's under him,
I highly doubt he doesn't call plays though.
Yeah.
But we'll
That's
see.
what I'm imagining. But the organization, they do odd things. This could be a step in the direction. I mean, the Buccaneers offense was, it was a light show last year. They were lighting the teams up left and right, and I was excited about the run game and the passing game, but we've already talked about it. Godwin, Evans, Otten, Bucky, they have weapons all over the board. So I'm excited to see what BTJ could grow into, and then if they can get some more production out of the other receivers. Trevor Lawrence should be a guy, but he just hasn't done it. So Coen could be the guy, but they need some more pieces too.
Well,
obviously.
I mean, again, a lot of obvious Oscar comments there, but I agree with you. I agree. I mean, he's going there for the reason to do everything you're saying. Like, if he fails, then yeah, they won't be good. But that's why it's a beautiful spot for him, is he sees the potential. He's like, I mean, where were and me included, I was not on the Baker train, but where was everybody when he was revamping that? Probably saying exactly what I was saying, and take a lap on me. Baker Mayfield, he can't do it with Baker Mayfield. He's got offensive line issues. And then he did it. You know what I mean? So like, that's the nature of, the game. That's what he's trying to prove. But you have the number 5 overall pick, bro. You have the chance to fix the offensive line with one draft selection, and then the right coaching staff can coach up the rest of it. And the scheme alone, if you've got a productive scheme, as Travis said, and as I've said before, when people make complaints and comments about an offensive line being bad from one year to the next, I laugh a lot of the time when people act like, and I'm not saying you, but people act like an offensive line is just a carryover from the previous year. Oh, they were really bad. Well, when you have a productive offense and you stretch the field, your offensive line immediately gets better, bro. Like, even if they didn't draft a single person, they kept it exactly the same. If Coen can stretch the field, the offensive line doubles in production. Absolutely is 50% better. 50%, at least 50% better, maybe 100% better, just by stretching the field. So you can't judge people that judge the offensive line based on a previous year. Again, it's laughable to me. It all depends on, is the offense going to stretch the field? Are you going to have the same defensive schemes with an aerial attack? No. Just like when everybody said Washington was going to be such a garbage. They're good, Smitty, but you keep pumping up JD5. Washington's got an awful defense. And their offensive line was putrid, Smitty. You know how many times people told me that, bro? How does everything look now in Washington? You improve your offense, your defense gets better. It's a trickle effect, back and forth, cascading effect. If you've got a mobile quarterback, guess what happens to defenses? They back up. They also spy you. You take a whole player off the board because they got to worry about where the hell JD5 is. Now are people talking about the offensive line? No. Where are those people that said it was the worst offensive line in the league or their defense was the worst in the league? Nowhere to be found.
Well, that's a good thing too, because more than half of last year was Mac Jones, who's slow-footed and sits in the pocket. T-Lock can move, so that changes things too.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. How long was Coen in Tampa Bay? Do we know that?
I don't know off the top of my head how many years.
I have no idea, but I feel like this last year was the first time we were hearing his name since the Bucs were doing well. At least that's the first time I heard his name.
Yeah, I mean you're gonna definitely take notice of offensive coordinators. Offensive coordinators were never even a big thing, like in the media world or on social media, or no one really even tracked it. And not to mention the turnover rate and the moving on of offensive coordinators, the 1 year and then gone, and I'm going to go head coach, is going to create a lot of parity in the league, as we've said before. So, yeah, Coen goes for 1 year, dominates in Tampa, and now he becomes a head coach. Like, it's crazy, how that stuff can happen. How 1 year, nobody wants a track record anymore. And it's all about competition, too. If nobody like social media drives it and the media drives it. Before, it was like no one really knew or cared, or there's no way to discuss it on a grand forum. Like you might hear like back in the day, you had like Sirius Radio or something, or ESPN that does highlights, and they might say that offensive coordinator's doing, and then it's gone. Nobody talks about it. Now, somebody can make something viral. It could stick everywhere, be reposted by everybody. So now all of a sudden there's a lot of pressure to, if we don't go get Coen, someone else is going to, and then all of a sudden, that's the way it works now. These offensive coordinators are gone after they have a good season. It's crazy. It never used to be like that. And it's problematic because you don't ever stick with someone long enough and give them a chance to build. I mean, look at Ryan Grubb. Why is Ryan Grubb fired after 1 year? And he did some amazing things in Seattle, considering the players and personnel there. I mean, Geno Smith is garbage. And he had JSN looking like a top 12 wide receiver. He had Charbonnet playing like a top 5 running back at times. Walker couldn't stay healthy. But how is Grubb fired after 1 year? Because of the way social media and the media cast judgment, puts pressure on things. It's kind of crazy to me. Like, Ryan Grubb should not have been fired.
Yeah. He definitely had some success with that offense in Seattle too. But again, the organizations and the ownership You know, like there could just be some duds up top, and if they don't see things properly, and if they're not managing the team properly, it really won't matter. I mean, we've seen that across the league. But another thought I had is some OCs, and this will be seen next year. Some OCs aren't meant to be head coaches, and who knows if Coen is going to be the guy.
I mean, that's what we talked about for like 10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just joining in. But interesting thing I see is McDaniels with the Patriots. You know, he goes off and gets a couple of different head coaching jobs, and he just fizzles out. And he's back with the Pats, and obviously he had success in OC. So some of these guys are just aren't cut out to run teams and organizations. So that'll be another thing we look out for. But
all right, thanks, Cody.
Yeah, just some thoughts, Smitty.
All right, appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate it.
What else you got? I didn't. Hold on one second, Cody. I didn't mean to like rush you off. It's just we had already talked about all that. So Cody's like repeating the cliff notes of the show. Sorry, Cody. Cody, call it anytime. I'm not mad at you. I love you, pal. Poor Cody. Marsman Rock out calling it. Go ahead, Travis. What were you saying?
Yeah, I was just saying, I was just looking back at last season and thinking about the possibility of Godwin to the Jags. And one, he's coming off an injury, so, you know, what was his injury again?
Foot.
I can't remember now.
Godwin foot.
Foot. So, I mean, he should be okay. But, you know, he might be eased in a little bit, so that shouldn't take much from BTJ. But I was looking at it, and people might forget, but the first 6 weeks of the year before he got hurt, he was outperforming Evans. So that system really benefited him. So that
Cody.
Definitely
Cody's. Yeah, I agree. Cody's got thick skin. He's fine. Thank you, Cody.
To Jupiter.
I was just laughing because Cody, you're like. Never mind. Like Smitty, one thing we got to look out for is not every offensive coordinator can be a head coach. Like repeating the whole segment. All right, Cody to the moon. Appreciate Cody. Smitty, honestly, how are you not a GM? Probably Frog because I'm not in the league, not in the business. But I appreciate you, Frog, coming in strong with the comments today. Frog wants to put me as GM of the New York Giants. As I said, Frog. Kind of like Moneyball, I think the NFL eventually will pull from the fantasy football community at some point. Somebody, not everybody, not some random Joe, but somebody proven like, hey, this guy could scout differently. Let's bring somebody into the scouting department that looks and forecasts, because the NFL doesn't forecast. The scouting minds don't look at it like we do. We look at, okay, end result. I want somebody that can produce Christian McCaffrey numbers. This guy looks like the best candidate to become that player. Whereas the NFL's like, put him on the field. Let's see what he does. Like they everything's just it's all in the moment. You know, it's all in the, and this is why I went into the I don't know if you guys know what Clubhouse is, but Clubhouse during the pandemic, it became huge. Twitter Spaces was basically created off of Clubhouse. Clubhouse was the first audio room type social media app, and people were stranded in their houses, you know, confined because of the pandemic. And so they got on Clubhouse. They didn't have to show their face. They could just talk in their underwear, and it became a huge thing. Well, I went into a gambling room, a betting room, and there was like 40, 50 people in there. And and then when it was my turn to talk, I just thought it'd be fun. I said, why don't you guys incorporate fantasy football into your betting strategies? Why don't you all play fantasy football? Because it's going to make you more astute as to what's going to happen versus you guys are all looking at betting based on today, betting based on yesterday's game, today's record. But when you go into the offseason and you're looking at week 18, and you're saying they had a bad, like, and you'd hear their comments. They're like, I'm not going to put any money down on this team. They had a bad defense last year. Like, they're not projecting it. So they're like, well, give me an example. And so in front of 40, 50 people, I said, the Bengals, they're going to win the division and draft Jamar Chase and be an absolute, and they're all laughing. I've told this story before. They were laughing their asses off. just basically saying, bro, stick to fantasy, bro. They were making fun of me. And so anyway, I left the room. I got clowned out of the room. One guy in there, and he's probably watching because he always comes in and says, he came on one time and talked about it. Off of my advice, he dropped a big chunk of money on the Bengals to win the division. And he made a fistful of cash. And I guess they all came back in and they'd talk about that moment. They're like, remember when that guy Smitty came in? And they knew the guy won all the money. And so I went back. Did I go back into the room? I forget if I went back into the room. But anyway, it was hilarious. It was just a fun story. But he said that they talked about it a lot. I think he told us that they talked about it a lot. They're like, they always talk about how, remember when Smitty told that and nobody listened and that guy benefited. He ended up rolling it all into the Super Bowl to win and lost it all, I think is what he did. But he made a boatload of money on that pick. I forget if he put like a couple $100 on it or $500 and it turned into thousands or whatever. But anyway, bottom line is what was I even saying?
You were saying I like, someday NFL is going to reach into fantasy for analytics or scouting or something.
I just think that, we look at it different. I'm not saying everybody's great. They can bring every organization should just hire. I'm just saying that there's a lot of ways that I think you could improve scouting based on, if a player doesn't have the upside to be why would you draft him and put him in that position? It's weird how scouting works. Let's see here. Rock out. You're live.
So what's your thoughts on Brian Schottenheimer, as far as the Cowboys go, and the whole offense and all that?
I don't know. Not sure I want that. I'd much rather it be Kellen Moore. I think Kellen Moore, a source from Liam Coen, ultimately things changed with the job and felt he owed it to himself to speak to Jacksonville about the head coaching position. A contract hadn't been offered as of last checking, says Jeremy Fowler. Just an FYI, an update on the Liam Coen situation. But he is reportedly or was at the facility as the time we started this live stream. So he said he owed it to himself to go over there, but he didn't owe it to the Bucs to tell him anything, which is crazy. Maybe he goes back, but that's gonna be like coming home with the roses and going, honey, it was a bad idea to go to Margaret. I'm staying. Take me back. I'm staying, honey. And the Bucs would take him back. They, what are they gonna do? Tell him no? They're just gonna be like, you hurt our feelings, but okay, come back.
Sure, we'll take you.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's a business. But as far as Schottenheimer, I want it to be Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore, obviously, he's not ready to make a decision. But that's kind of why I think the Cowboys are waiting. Now, Kellen Moore, I like Kellen Moore a lot because he's had success there. He's the reason that CeeDee Lamb and that offense was so productive even when he left. So Kellen Moore is a great situation. C-Mac says Salah. But what's funny, C-Mac, is that, I'm not saying it won't happen, but the fact that, Niner fans and Niner pages everywhere are saying, and even, big reports, a couple from, ESPN, I forget who was it, the report had said, Salah is likely to go to the Niners now. That was still unfolding. It had just unfolded, and now all of a sudden he goes from maybe going to fly into Jacksonville as a head coaching interview to he's already inked with the Niners. I imagine he wants to maybe go to San Francisco if there's no other opportunities, but it is wild to me that this was already set up. I don't know about that, but I think it could still work out because it's very much been talked about. I see a couple of you say Plan B. Yeah, maybe, but we had just got news 2 minutes had happened and people are already Niners are expected to sign Robert Saleh as their defensive coordinator. It's how would that information even be available when we're just finding out that did Saleh get on a plane or did he not? It looks like he didn't get on a plane. And what happens if the meeting didn't go well with Coen today? What if Coen didn't decided to leave and go back to Tampa? Then Salah still got his interview. So I just think everybody, inking that Salah's a Niner is it's very Niner-like. I'm not saying it won't work out. It's very Niner-like. It's like saying, oh, the Niners will draft Genti, and then we'll get also Travis Hunter, and we'll probably need to bring in, Darnold. Like the biggest way a Niner fan would look at the Darnold situation is that we'll bring Darnold in as our backup, as if Darnold's not going to go be a starter somewhere. I know he failed. He turned into a pumpkin, but Darnold will have teams, 5-6 teams wanting him to pay him less because of how he unraveled. But the Niner fans would be like, yeah, let's just bring back Darnold as our backup. As if he's going to be like, yeah, okay. Yeah, guys, I don't want to start for you. I'm going to go back up for the Niners. Niners pages didn't come up with that report. That's what I just said, though, C-Mac. I said there's even like ESPN reports and everything. I'm just saying, how is that possible? How is it possible? He still could, if the Coen situation doesn't go well, he could still go interview. So I just think people are jumping the gun on saying that Salah's likely a Niner now. I don't know. We'll see. It definitely could happen. I'm not saying it can't happen, C-Mac. It could happen 5 hours from now. It could be announced. 3 hours from now won't change my view. I just think it's wild that everybody assumes it's done now. Like, he still may have an interview with the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's just on hold. Like, Salah's like, damn, I'm not going to fly out there like an idiot and stand around. Like, Salah's going to wait and see if he's going to be interviewed for the Jaguar job. He still wants a starting or a head coaching job over defensive coordinator. So if there's still a shot, he's going to wait. But I will say, C-Mac, Salah in San Francisco is very good. I think that could finally solve or help solve some of the problems you guys continue to rinse and repeat with as Shanahan decides to bring in lesser minds so he can control them. Brian, Salah is waiting. Dice Boy doesn't want any Niner success. Can't believe all of the beat writers throw out anything. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's trendy to say Salah's now going to San Francisco as if that news is, locked in. It's very likely. That's what people are doing. They're predicting a very likely thing. That's like when the Falcons were likely to land Deshaun Watson in that trade, and then it backfired at the last second. Everybody was predicting very likely things to happen. And then when it didn't happen, they looked like buffoons. But anyway, go ahead, rock out. I'm sorry. What else you got? I don't know about Schottenheimer. I don't know how it's going to work. I'd be honest with you and just say I kind of I'm unsure. Yeah, I just don't know. I don't want a yes man in Dallas. I know we can't get a Vrabel, like a guy that's going to be like, I'm not going to listen to anything Jerry said. Like, we're not going to get that. Jerry's going to make sure he has a puppet of some kind. But I think of all the potential puppets that have a little bit of a mind of their own, I think Kellen Moore would be great, because we've seen Kellen Moore really, he knows Dallas. He knows the offense. He's been there. He was there. He left to go head coach. Didn't work out in LAC, but Kellen Moore did turn Keenan Allen into a top 5 wide receiver, and Kellen Moore's slot wide receiver is always a top 5 player practically. So you bring him back to Dallas, where he helped create CeeDee Lamb's success and the offensive, flow and the design of the offense, which last year McCarthy tried to change. Remember, McCarthy in the offseason said, I want to go more balanced and take away from Kellen Moore's system a little bit and go half run, half pass. Didn't work. The Cowboys struggled, and then he changed it again. That was the year prior, and he changed it again. And then Lamb had one of his best seasons ever because he re-implemented what Kellen Moore kind of had set up. But I like Kellen Moore. Schottenheimer, I just don't know. Kind of feel like it could be a...
Yeah, that's a really good thing.
I don't know. I won't avoid CeeDee Lamb, but I'm certainly like Lamb is an absolute must-draft player for me if Kellen Moore's the head coach.
How many spots would he drop if Schottenheimer was there?
For me, I mean, I don't think he changes much on the ADP because everyone's already low on him. But I think, I don't know. My back. It feels like somebody's electrocuting my lower back when I move wrong. Let's pull up some rankings here and go over it. I guess I would say so. Number 1 and number 2 overall are going to be let's put it as we'll go Chase. We'll go Bijan, Gibbs, and this is kind of a mix of what I feel and ADP. I'm not necessarily getting too specific with mine. So Barkley could go 2. It doesn't really. I'm kind of just filling in. I'm kind of just filling it in. JJ this is probably the consensus, and you might even have Barkley ahead of Gibbs, which for most people. I'm not saying mine. So you got Chase, JJ, Lamb, Lamb available. Let's see, Lamb, Neighbors, Puka. Puka is probably next. I would think for most people. Puka. Nico's right there. Derrick Henry's kind of in the conversation. So probably Nico, and then Lamb or Henry. I think what it ends up being is Lamb is here for some people. Henry's here for some people. Nico's here for some people. And I think there's such a variation and variety going on. Neighbors is in this conversation. And because everybody's going to have a different player there, Amon-Ra St. Brown is in this conversation, that it's going to make the ADPs, like, it's going to drop Lamb's ADP a lot because there's variety here. So Henry, Lamb, St. Brown, Nico, Neighbors are kind of a big range. Whereas these guys are going to have a more specific set in, cemented in, no big range. It's going to be JJ's either going 4 or 5, like in every draft. Gibbs is going 2, 3, 4, or 5 in every draft. Chase is going 1 or 2 in every draft. Puka's probably going 5, 6, or 7 in every draft. Whereas Lamb, Henry, St. Brown, Nico, Neighbors could go from 7 to like 13. So Lamb, to answer your question, Lamb for me feels like he's this good, 2 or 3 overall. And I'd be happy to, and I will recommend you grab him as late as you can. That's the whole point in fantasy football, is to get value. So I'm taking Lamb as late as I can get him. But if Schottenheimer's the head coach, again, I'm taking him where I can get him. But my expectation is probably right below JJ, unfortunately. But that's not crazy. But I just think Lamb with Kellen Moore goes up a ton. All right, boys. I'll probably be back tonight. Is there anything else?
I was going to say the thing with. Go ahead, Rocco.
Okay. Follow-up question. If Kim Moore doesn't get a head coaching job, do you think he would take a job with the line to be OC there?
No. Why would he change? Why would he laterally move? I mean, you never know. Not to mention, like, you're gonna laterally move to a team that did lesser than, you know what I mean. It's not like you failed out again, and you're like, I'm tired of this, BS. And the Lions went to the championship game. I'm gonna go over there. It's like it's the reverse. So I don't see how that's. I mean, you never know, bro. Nothing surprises me.
It was being outside the box,
Yeah, nothing surprises me anymore. But that seems like a weird move.
Cool.
All right. Appreciate you, bro. Later, rock out. Calling tonight. All right, Travis, we'll see you later. Guys, make sure you go. Right. Or Travis, did you have something else? You had something else, didn't you?
No, I was just going to say real quick, when you were talking about, the possibility of the NFL turning to fantasy a little bit. I mean, 10 or 15 years ago, 12 years ago, whatever, no one they would have laughed at you if you said a guy like McVay or Mike McDaniel would have been a head coach in this league, just because they weren't former players or they didn't have a huge coaching line behind him or something like that. So you've already seen a shift in the way coaches are picked. And like you were talking about earlier, several years ago, an offensive coordinator that was an offensive coordinator for 1 year or a couple of years wouldn't have this much hype for a head coach either. So they're already shifting the way they look at things and the immediacy of stuff. Things move so fast nowadays that, change is going to come no matter what. It's just a matter of who does it first.
Yeah. All right, man. I'll see you. I'll see you tonight. I'll probably be back on the main channel tonight. All right, later. Let's order. What are we ordering tonight? Oh, man, I moved wrong. Oh, I got to fall back. You know what I've been wanting? I want the steak gargonzola from Olive Garden. Olive Garden. Let's call it in. Olive Garden near me. There we go. Let's do this.
Curbside pickup? Check in on the texted link or press 3 now. For your convenience, place your Carside to-go order or your catering order.
I'll do it on the app. Let's see. Olive Garden. I think I got the app on here. Who doesn't have the Olive Garden app? Olive Garden. There we go. There it is. It's got one of those, cloud re-download. I haven't used it in a while, but we'll re-download. They brought back the steak gargonzola, which is just an absolute marvel. Just a straight up marvel. Okay, let's order. Get started. Let's see here. Oh man, that lasagna looks good too. Order now. Definitely now. Not later, now. Okay, classics. Where's the steak gargonzola? Where are you? Steak gargonzola. $22.49. Man, their prices just keep going up. You get breadsticks though. It's great. House salad. We'll do that. Yes, sir. No drink necessary. Where does it say ranch? Famous house salad. How do I choose whether I get ranch or not? Oh well. I got ranch here. Okay. ASAP. We'll go ahead and do that. Confirm. They still got all my info. They're like, you're back, Mr. Smitty. $22.49. Check out. Dipping sauces. Add or customize. No, we're good. We're good. Back out of here. No thanks. I'm good to check out. Something went wrong. Son of a... Come on, man. Looks like I am calling. All right, I'll see you all tonight. Appreciate you.
He's BTJ. What you gonna do? He's BTJ. He's gonna put it on you. He's BTJ. Gonna have a good game. He's BTJ. Your mama screams his name. BTJ.
Hi, your mama.
Put it on you. There's not a single thing that you can do. BTJ is going to put it on you. There's not a single thing that you can do.
Hi, Jamamas. Live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. That is what this show is. I'm also additionally live whenever big news breaks. I have a feeling we'll be back tonight on some sort of breaking news, or maybe we do a mock draft, 2025 mock draft. Yeah, I got to call Olive Garden back.
curbside pickup? Check in on the texted link or press 3 now. For your convenience, place your Carside to-go order or your catering order at olivegarden.com or use the Olive Garden app.
We tried that. We tried that.